I remember certain episodes in life very, very clearly, almost as if they were yesterday. But the one I want to tell you about today is one that happened on June the 9th, 2006. And for those of you that can remember that far back, it was the opening ceremony for the World Cup soccer finals in Berlin in Germany. And all my family and friends had gathered around. The house was wall-to-wall human being watching the television and watching the opening ceremony in particular. Now, if you remember correctly, there was huge hoopla in South Africa because in 2010, 4 years later, South Africa was going to be hosting the Soccer World Cup. And we were super excited about it. The whole country was abuzz. And what had happened was the nation had selected some musicians and some dancers and some actors and put together a show that was going to go live in 2006 in Germany to showcase what the world could expect in 2010, 4 years later. And what was super exciting for all of us is that my wife, Maria, was one of the dancers who performed at that opening ceremony in Germany. And so, although we were all, soccer fanatics, we were also Maria fanatics. And so everybody had come around to watch the opening ceremony to see if we could spot Maria as she did her dance and as the troupe did what they were so good at doing, and that was to entertain and advertise the South Africa 2010 games that were going to be taking place there. And it was the dance portion of the show took 20 minutes, and boy, they hit it out the park. They really carried the flag so well, and they did such a good advert. And my lounge with maybe 20, 25 people in it, along with 250 million international viewers, got to see my wife and her guys do us proud. And they really did, man. They did such a good job. In fact, even as the last pose of the dance went off, the phone started ringing and the text messages started to come through of people just congratulating us. And, we got to see Maria and other dancers. We got to see these people that were dancing, and weren't they just amazing? And I think that was great. I think they deserved that. I think it was a wonderful, wonderful moment, and definitely a highlight of my life, and I know for my wife and the rest of the family, just something that we look back with tremendous pride and just being a part of that whole thing. And I think it should be remembered, and I think it's a good thing to celebrate. Unfortunately, what people don't see are the journey that Maria and the other dancers went through that got them to that point. Now, I can only speak for Maria because obviously we were married, and from when I started dating Maria, she was already a dancer. And so at that point, probably 25, 26 years of stretching, strengthening, keeping fit, watching what you eat, going to dance lessons, going to extra dance lessons, paying and investing time and money to go to international dance teachers when they came over, investing a lot of time into a dance career that ultimately resulted in her being on one of the biggest stages, arguably, in history at that point. People don't really see those hours. I mean, we kind of know that they're there, but people don't always think about them. That particular 20-minute dance that Maria did, her and her team rehearsed 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 4 weeks. Talk about commitment. And they needed to be. They were representing the country. They needed to be on point. They needed to be strong. They needed to know what they were doing. But that represents a 220-hour per person investment into a dance that lasted 20 minutes. Now, there were actors and there were other performers who have their own journey. The actors had to memorize lines. They had to create a story live. And they must have spent hours learning those lines and learning the moves and the responses and when the lights were going down so that the dancers could come in, when the dancers were going to make way for other performers. It was a real show of note. But for just the dancers, 220 hours per person. And I like to say to everybody that those 220 hours represented all the hard work that the team did to make the dance look so easy. And I think there's a fantastic life lesson in that. There really is a belief among a lot of people that if you just choose goals, if I can see them and I can feel them, I can have them, it doesn't really ring true with me. Achieving goals takes time. Achieving goals takes effort, it takes sacrifice, it takes investment, blood, sweat, and tears. It becomes a bit of a cliche, but that's because it's true. Very few things of significance just fall into place. And while I might not be 100% Malcolm Gladwell and his 10,000 hours devotee, I do totally agree with him that we need to be prepared to put in the hard yards in order to be experts in a particular area in time to come. What about your sales practice? Are you putting in the hard yards that are required to be a successful salesperson? Are you constantly adding and building your prospecting list? Are you regularly prospecting? Are you regularly asking for referrals? Are you always on the lookout for business? Are you rehearsing the way you get in touch with clients? Are you doing some investigation into particular demographics that you're going to be selling certain things to? Are you planning the meetings and the interactions you're going to be having with those people as you guide them to a decision? Are you rehearsing your sales shtick so that it comes off very, very easy and unpressurized? Are you doing the hard yards in your sales that makes closing easy, that makes client interactions easy? I think that the close is important, and we tend to celebrate wildly when we do close, and I think that's a good thing. But I really don't think we should celebrate it at the expense of not celebrating all the hard yards and the small victories, the prospecting, the hours of driving around, the reaching out, the cold calling, all that kind of stuff. It all needs to be celebrated as well, because it's not just about the close. It's about all the steps that get you to the close. Come on, let's dance. Go for it.